Here, viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by studio clock. It's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us on our major stories tonight. McGill, the company in charge of constructing the Olympic Sports Complex, is accusing the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education for the unfinished project. In a press release that was revealed or released yesterday, the company McGill says unpaid bills by the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education is a reason the project is not yet complete. And also in this newscast, the SDF Member of Parliament, Honorable Jean-Michel Niche, calls for the dismissal of all the ministers involved in the Olympic Sports Complex saga. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. We just told you in the headlines that the company which is in charge of the construction of the Olympic Sports Complex, McGill, is now accusing the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education for the unfinished project. McGill, in a press release which it sent out that was on January 11, blames the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education for unpaid bills. And now let's have more on that with our reporter Innocent Aze.
Press release dated January 11 denounces what it qualifies as unfounded attacks on her and recalls its commitment alongside the state to realize a befitting Olympic Sports Complex. Since the Olympic scandal got sour, McGill says it participated in meetings on January 10 with authorities in Yaoundé to amicably settle the matter. It was also an opportunity for McGill to alert it to difficulties surrounding the project's execution. McGill accuses the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education for contributing to jeopardize the project, as at the start of 2023, McGill and the subcontractors have not received any payment for their invoices counted and validated by MINSEP since July last year, coupled with the non-renewal of tax and customs exemptions linked to the projects, the discovery of numerous defects in the stadium, and request for additional work, increasing the total construction budget. McGill in the release adds it initiated steps to find a means of conciliation for the proper execution of the sports edifice, in particular the establishment of amicable settlement mechanisms with MINSEP on April 12, 2022, followed by a conciliation committee on August 23, 2022. Thereafter, multiple correspondence addressed to the ministry remained unanswered. This forced McGill on December 5, 2022 to notify MINSEP within 30 days to avoid termination of the main contract and its referral to arbitration. According to McGill, this also went unanswered but was the subject of a letter for the attention of the Secretariat of the Prime Minister containing erroneous and slanderous information transmitted to the media and altering the image of McGill Construction Corporation and that of its collaborators. While attending the January 10 meeting with state authorities, the Executive Vice President of McGill, Frank Matier, reiterates the company's commitment to the state of Cameroon and hope that the provisions of the contracts signed will be respected in order to pay the subcontractors who have worked tirelessly for the success of the AFCON Cameroon hosted and have contributed to the influence of the country on the international scene.
Meanwhile, the SDF Member of Parliament, Honorable Jean-Michel Niche, calls on the President of the Republic to dismiss all those involved in the mismanagement of funds for the construction of the Olympic Sports Complex, especially government ministers. And in a release, he raised some irregularities in the construction of that sports complex even before the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations Immaculate for Good completes the story.
According to the Social Democratic Front Member of Parliament, Honorable Jean-Michel Niche, the government must answer for their actions in court concerning the mismanagement of public funds meant for the finalization of works at the Olympic Sports Complex. In a press release, the Member of Parliament expressed his indignation following McGill's decision to put an end to a contract which binds them with the state of Cameroon with regards to the construction of the Olympic Sports Complex. To him, this is clear evidence that there was massive embezzlement of public funds. He claims the Minister of Sports and Physical Education has been spreading false information on how works have been unfolding. The MP calls on the President to dismiss all those ministers who are in charge of managing the funds for the 2021 African Cup of Nations of their functions. He adds that any laxity of the President concerning the scandal proves his complicity. Honorable Jean-Michel Nincher regrets the fact that he wasn't granted audience to meet the Secretary General of the Presidency concerning the mismanagement of funds allocated for the 2019 African Cup of Nations, which was later pushed to 2021. He says the Minister of Economic Planning and Regional Development signed a loan of over 50 billion francs CFA with the Standard Chartered Bank, which was to be used for the financing of the Olympic Sports Complex project. The outing of the MP comes after the Minister of Sport revealed that McGill Construction has decided to put an end to the contract which binds the company with Cameroon. He also indicated that the budget provided for the completion of other related infrastructures have already been made available for McGill, but the company rather continued demanding more financial resources without advancing work on other related infrastructures. The outing of the Member of Parliament comes after the Minister of Sport revealed that McGill Construction has decided to put an end to the contract which binds the company with Cameroon. He also indicated that the budget provided for the completion of other related infrastructures has already been made available to McGill, but the company rather continued demanding more financial resources without advancing work on other related infrastructures at the Olympic Sports Complex.
And now we continue talking about fuel scarcity, which might have some negative consequences on the living conditions or day-to-day lives of Cameroonians. Our reporter Babula Jonathan spoke with an economist, Edmond Kouyaté, who attempts an answer on the reason behind fuel scarcity in Cameroon, which exploits crude oil in Limbe and also has an oil refinery, which is Sonara. Let us listen to this report.
At least two factors could explain the fuel scarcity in Cameroon, particularly in the nation's political capital Yaoundé. Economist Edmond Kouyaté situates the problem at the levels of production and distribution.
Cameroon is producing oil, crude oil, but what you got to understand is that Cameroon is importing 100% of fuel that we consume in Cameroon. Since 2013, with the extension of the activity of Sonara, there is a new technology that has been installed in Sonara that could actually help refining our crude oil. But for one reason or another, it's not operational. The Minister of Energy should tell us why they cannot find 250 billion to rehabilitate Sonara and enable Sonara to be operational and therefore refine our crude oil.
At the level of distribution, Edmond Kouyaté highlights the limited number of fuel importers.
All marketers had the possibility to import their product and then stock it at SDP and then consume it gradually. But today, for some reason, the Minister of Energy has selected 2 or 3 marketers that we import for the rest of the marketers. So that's the problem. That's where the problem could be too. So at the stock management, for instance, there must be a problem due to the fact that those marketers that has been selected to import, they might not be able to supply all the other marketers. That's why you can have scarcity maybe in Douala, in Yaoundé, and you don't have scarcity in Douala and in other towns.
Before the fire incident that damaged a section of the national oil refinery Sonara, it was refining semi-refined products imported from Nigeria and other countries, covering 25% of local consumption. The full rehabilitation of the Sonara is today seen as the way out.
Today the problem is how do we rehabilitate Sonara so that Sonara can refine the crude oil that we produce and stabilize the prices in the market, in the local market.
Meantime, there are fears of a possible extension of the scarcity from Yaoundé to other parts of the country, coupled with imminent price increase.
And And the Regional Council of the South region of the country want roads in that part of the country to be rehabilitated. Roads, they say, will contribute enormously at developing the South region of the country. Let's now have more with Mala Glory.
Living from one neighboring village to another in the South region of the country is a nightmare. This is due to the deplorable state of the roads. The authorities, in a way to rehabilitate the roads and contribute to the development of the area, the Regional Council, headed by the South Regional Governor, provided construction machines, tractor loader, trucks and front-end loader for works to begin.
The dream of the citizens in the South region is to be able to move from one nook to the other of the region, each free. And I think by acquiring this equipment, the Regional Council, through its presidents, have made the dream come true.
In appreciating the efforts of local administrative body, the governor also advised on the effective use of the machines.
And recommend that the equipment should be put in good use. And it should not be only for the regional council. As he said, the regional council should have a partnership with local councils, city councils of the region, for the interest of the roads of the region to be maintained.
The population now look forward to see the heavy construction machines go operational in order to develop the region and to improve on the living condition of the people.
And now we take you to the east region of the country, precisely in a locality called Kano, where it will serve as a main zone for the trading of forest resources in Cameroon, and an operation to prepare the place ahead of the construction was led by the Minister for Mines, Industry and Technological Development, Gabriel Dodondoke. Smart Jikan Gabriel completes the story.
The locality of Kano in Betua, east region of Cameroon, will soon see the construction of an industrial park which will aid in the local transformation of timber. All of the space you see now will tomorrow be transformed into an integrated industrial park that will host the resources from our forests, which will be transformed here. When the integrated industrial park is constructed, it will be the main point where all members of the CEMAC zone will buy timber. It will be a big project in the making. The project is comprised of a rail system to transport the timber to the transformation industries. There will be training alongside reforestation. The idea is to develop new forests through reforestation, and it's a big advantage for the people in the East region who already have a good ecosystem.
C'est une grosse opportunité pour l'ensemble des communes de la région qui disposent chacune déjà d'un écosystème favorable au développement de la forêt.
For this project to be a success, the illegal exploitation of timber has to be brought to an end. A decision to stop the illegal exploitation of timber in the CEMAC zone was supposed to be effective since January 1, 2023, but it was pushed to a later date. While waiting for the new date to be fixed, Cameroon is already preparing.
Le temps pour nous.
It is time for us to put in place everything that will welcome this big industrial park to transform woods, which will eventually become an important economic zone. With the coming of the Grand Industrial Park in Betua, it is expected that jobs will be created for the people of the locality, and it will be a source of income to the council.
And now in the Mongo Division in Melon, business persons they complain of the absence of water and electricity at the Melon main market. The late that complained during the recent council session of the Mongo Division. Let's now have more with Mara Glory.
This is Melon Market, one of the busiest local markets in Mongo, the littoral region. Business persons here decry the absence of potable water and electricity. We don't have enough water points in these markets. While others whose shops have been demolished say they are now stranded and that the newly constructed stores be distributed equally. We have been evicted from our shops and the shops have been destroyed. Where do they expect us to go to? Let them ameliorate our situation. The people presented their worries to the mayor of Melon during a municipal council plenary session, a meeting which was aimed at evaluating expenses for the year 2022 and to vote a budget for the upcoming project in 2023, during which the mayor promised change.
Nous donnons l'esprit de faire le maximum de ce que nous.
We give ourselves the challenge to do better this year, at least because Melon Market is the main market in Melon, which supplies thousands of people.
Par rapport au vivre que tout le monde se ravitaille ici.
The meeting ended with the councillors unanimously voting a budget of 1,463,217,573 francs CFA for the financial year 2023. The mayor and his councillors hope to realize more projects this year compared to the previous year characterized by economic crisis.
And now in sports, under 17 players of the national football teams in the Central African zone will begin tussling for a ticket to the under 17 Nations Cup as a unified kicks off in Limbe. That would be soonest. Our reporter Smart Jikan Gabriel tells us that host country Cameroon has issues of ages relating to the under 17 players in this report.
The Under-17 Central African Football Federations Union UNIFAC tournament that brings together under-17 teams of countries within the CEMAC zone starts this Thursday in Limbe, southwest region of Cameroon. Unfortunately, out of the initial 5 teams expected at the seaside resort town of Limbe, just 4 will be present. The Democratic Republic of Congo backed out of the tournament after 15 out of its 20 players were ruled out because they were overaged after they went through the age test. As it stands, Chad, Congo-Brazzaville, the Central African Republic and host nation Cameroon will be the 4 nations to participate in the tournament. The competition that starts on January 12 will end on January 18, 2023, and it will be in a group format with the first 2 teams at the end of their 3 matches picking up their qualifications for the Under-17 Nations Cup that will take place in Algeria from April 8 to the 30th, 2023. Cameroon will take on the Central African Republic in their match opener as they begin the quest for Algeria 2023.
And that was it for the first part of the news. Viewers, don't square away. Talking Point comes up next. In Talking Point, we will be talking fuel scarcity in Cameroon and some of its consequences. Stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Dr. Hugues Nkochu. He is an economist. Doctor, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest tonight on Talking Point. We are talking fuel scarcity in Cameroon. We know recently in the nation's political capital, in Yaoundé, people had to stand on very long queues for hours just to get a liter of fuel. As an economist, can you please explain to our viewers the reason behind fuel scarcity in Cameroon? Like we have always been saying, Cameroon which exploits crude oil and also has sonera.
First, I would like to say thank you for invitations, always an honor. The reasons are twofold. First of all, you have Russian sanctions because of the war in Ukraine. imposed by the West. Cameroon used to import more than 50% of gasoline from Russia. So that creates kind of scarcity because now Russia is under sanction. Another reason is the fact that the war in Ukraine caused the price of oil to go up. So now, for the same amount of money, Cameroon import less fuel. So all of these kind of cause some kind of scarcity.
And now we have a refinery. Why is it so difficult for us to exploit, refine, and consume?
Yeah, it's true. If you look at, for example, the Cameroonian government budget, I think of 2019, the government makes some provision for to rebuild some of the infrastructure of the Sonara that was destroyed by the fire. And also, it is true that because of the increasing population, we should in Cameroon build, another refinery, to supply for the need of the population. But the current scarcity is due in part to what is happening, in Ukraine, the war, and also the fact that we import quite a huge amount of gasoline, more than 50%, I think, from Russia.
And now, as an economist, fuel has been somehow scarce in some towns of Cameroon. Do you see the possibility of a price hike of fuel in other major towns of the country?
Yes and no. Yes, because of the reason that I just explained, the crisis, the sanction on Russia, but also no, because if the government diversify, the supplier, for example, because of sanction on Russia, if the government rely or start, importing from other African partners like Nigeria, Angola, Algeria, and also in Europe, they can also compensate for the loss of fuel that we cannot import from Russia here.
I might have to come back to that question, Doctor. Every Cameroonian makes use of fuel. You must not be a car owner. If you take bikes or you get into taxis, you're using fuel and you're paying for the fuel that you are using. Can you further explain why we cannot consume what we have?
I think that it's possible. I think that we need a public-private partnership, a strong public-private partnership, especially because it is something very important. A fuel scarcity crisis like this can have an impact on the lifestyle, the cost of living, because increased cost of transportation, and also the increased cost of food as a result of the increased cost of transportation. It can also affect businesses. The cost of business will go up. There's a lot of business using, for example, or relying on transportation of goods from one place to the other, from the farm to the market. Also, a lot of business use now fuel power generator, small businesses. So I agree with you that this is a cause of concern. So I think that there should be a strong public-private partnership to build a new refinery. Like in Nigeria, with Dangote, a refinery that is building, we need some kind of partnership between the government and the private sector to build a new refinery, like I say, because of what is going on and also because of the increase in population.
Just tell us, what actually is the blockade? What is the problem?
Of course we can. What I'm saying is that to refine, we need infrastructure. We don't have that infrastructure. The only infrastructure that we have at the moment is Sonara. We need more. We need Sonara to operate at its highest level. Like I said earlier on, the government allocated a lot of money in the 2019 budget to rebuild the infrastructure that was destroyed. Now we need the private sector to come in and partner with the government to build a new infrastructure, a new refinery, to accommodate for the needs of the population.
All along, you've been insisting on government-private partnership somehow, but most the government partner with private individuals to provide fuel to Cameroonians at an affordable rate.
I think the reason is because for two reasons. The first reason is when the private sector get involved, usually the management is better because there is a greater incentive for profit, and also because the private sector comes with technological innovation compared to the public sector. So the private sector tend to rely more on technology to reduce cost, to scale up fast, and also there's better management. So for something as important as to build a new refinery, instead of being 100%, or the government having the majority shareholder, it's better that the private sector has the majority shareholder in the new refinery that the Cameroon want to build, so that we can guarantee more efficiency.
You might be right, the private sector might bring in more efficiency. But now, while waiting on the private sector, Cameroonians have to continue suffering?
There are like short-term solution, like fuel subsidy. In Cameroon, there's fuel subsidies, about $1.2 billion every year, about 700 billion francs CFA. It's a lot of money. And that's a short-term solution. But a long-term solution will be to build, like you said, a new refinery, like Dangote did in Nigeria in partnership with the government. That is definitely what will set up apart, of making sure we don't, we are not affected as we are, by fuel scarcity like it is now.
You began by saying it already. Can we know what are some of those consequences of an increase in the price of fuel to the common Cameroonian?
You see, these are long-term problems that require long-term solutions. I think that the government should plan also on the longer term. That means that we definitely should look at solutions like, investing in renewable energy, investing in technological innovation. For example, electric vehicle, why not? We have a bright mind in Cameroon. If given the access to finance and opportunity, we have startup here in Cameroon that can help Cameroon become a powerhouse in terms of electric vehicle. So I think that on the long term, the solution will be to focus on renewable energy, invest in technological innovation by making Cameroonian startup that rely heavily on STEM, science, technology, engineering, that they can access finance, and also give them an opportunity to show what they can do. So in the long term, we definitely should invest in renewable energy, technological innovation, to kind of make sure that in the longer term, we have more electric vehicles on the road, clean energy. We don't rely a lot on oil and fuel. Yeah. I believe that for us to have an economy that is sustainable, we should put the private sector at the center. It should be a partnership between the government and the private sector. The government cannot do everything alone. We definitely need the private sector to step in for the reason that I already mentioned. And some problem you plan ahead. There are short-term solutions like fuel subsidy, which I'm not, in favor of, but it has its own advantages. But on the long term, the better solution will be, like I said, to invest in renewable energy, invest in technological innovation, clean vehicle, electric vehicle, and also, develop our own refinery by partnering with the private sector to guarantee more efficiency. I think in Nigeria can do it. If Dangote can do it, surely Cameroon can do it.
And now, Doctor, besides government subsidy and also partnering with the private sector, what more proposals can you make as an economist to redress the problem of fuel scarcity and an imminent price hikes of fuel in Cameroon?
I think that fuel subsidy first is a lot of money. Also, sometimes making that money available is also an issue. That too can cause some, fuel scarcity on its own. I think some of the solution will be, like I said earlier on, to invest in building new infrastructure, a new refinery, but this time in partnership with the private sector, to guarantee some efficiency, more efficiency. The second solution will be to invest in Cameroonian startup that promoting green energy, electric vehicle, and make finance access to finance for those startups, and also invest in research and innovation in those sectors. The government should deliberately encourage research in electric vehicle, renewable energy. I think that to develop an economy like ours, what we need is increase our productivity. And when you think about productivity, you definitely think about technology. That one, either way you look at it, solutions will come from better technology, local technology, and that includes investing in a startup that focus on renewable energy. Another solution, like I said, we should build our own infrastructure, refinery, but in partnership with the private sector. These are the two main solutions that I can think of now.
Dr. Hugues Nkuchu, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Points tonight on the news. And viewers, thank you so much for always being said. Don't go away. The news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television.